of school, one of the things we always put in our CV is the fact that we can work alone. You know, I can work alone. I can work without supervision. I love to do things on my own. But a few years after we left school, a few years after we joined the labor force or the workforce, I realized that the paradigm was changing from the champion employee to team, right? These days, anywhere you go, in fact, team management, because I'm into learning and development, team management is a big thing now. Almost every organization wants you to come and train their staff on how to work in a team, how to lead a team, how to develop a winning team and all. That wasn't the case when we were growing up, when we were in school, when we were preparing for the workforce. We had to change while we were in the labor force, where we're in the workforce, where we're already working, to start understanding this aspect of we were trained to be able to work on our own, proactiveness, initiative. So why am I saying that? These are some of the things that your employers will be looking out for when they are interviewing you. But I'm just laying the foundation. As we go on, you will understand. Like I said, I'll be doing more of talking. What we have on the slide is just to guide what I'll be telling you. All right. So what exactly is interview? What is the purpose of interview? Why do we do interview? Why bother to bring people to the interview table and interview them? An interview is just a structured conversation. And the purpose is to assess you as a candidate. One keyword that you can substitute interview for is assessment. It is basically assessing candidates to find the most suitable for a particular role. So when you're going for interview, when you are preparing for an interview, understand that all it means is assessment. You are being assessed. You are meeting most likely everybody in that panel for the first time. You're meeting them for the first time. They are meeting you for the first time. And yet, within a brief period of time, they are assessing you. They are making a conclusion about you, about who you are, about your capabilities, and about your suitability for the role. So you need to have that mindset that you are going for an assessment. You are going to sell yourself. I know a lot of people will say, I don't like sales. I don't know how to sell. I don't want any sales. Fine. But virtually everything we do in life is sales. I tell the youths that I mentor, I always tell them that even choosing a partner in life is sales. You are selling yourself because believe you me, you are not the only person interested in either the guy or the lady. So why should he or she choose you? You are selling something. You are basically selling something. So we are all selling at all times. We are selling. And so when you're going for an interview, understand that you are going there to sell your best. You are going there to present yourself as the most suitable. And there are different types of interviews. We have the one-on-one interview session where the candidate meets just one person and we have a conversation. The interview type is also dependent on your level, the level at which we are recruiting. For example, if you're recruiting mid-management and top management, most times it is this one-on-one that is applied, is engaged to determine who will be the most preferred. Panel most times comes when we are looking at maybe the mid-level down, and sometimes maybe it requires a lot of experience and technicalities. Then we can have panel just to make sure that different aspects of that job is represented. Each person on the panel represents a particular aspect of the role you are expected to come and play in the organization. Group interview too is employed in some cases when, for example, sales. For example, you want to develop a team, you want to assemble a team to do a job to carry out a task, we can employ the group type. And then virtual, just like we are having this workshop now, interviews can also be done virtually. And I'm sure that a few of us have experienced virtual interview. So now, moving to a more important aspect of this workshop.
Sorry, please, can I say something? Sorry about this.
Yes.
I just want to make sure everybody can hear
Okay.
Temitope. So if you can, just like say it on the group, because I'm not sure everybody can hear you, but please, if you can, just let us know that you can hear him clearly. All right. Thank you. Sorry about this. You can proceed. Thank you.
Okay, so everybody, they can all hear me, right?
Yeah, they can. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. So I titled this particular aspect interview proactiveness. And what am I trying to say? I don't know how many of us have read the 7 habits of highly effective people. Please, I will need us to unmute and just say yes. If you have read it, just say yes. How many of us have read the book? 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. How many of us have read it?
Yes, I have.
Okay, that's 2. How many? Who else? Okay, because for the sake of our time, if you haven't read the book, please find the book. It's one of the most read for anybody who wants to develop himself or herself. It's a book I would recommend to anybody, particularly the younger generation. If you want to hold yourself accountable, if you want to be effective at what you do without anyone telling you what to do or you waiting for people to tell you what to do, please get that book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In that particular book, the author was talking about proactiveness in a particular chapter. And it basically made us understand that there are 2 circles when it comes to life. And I'm bringing that into the aspect of interview. I am the one who gave you this caption, the circles of life. And basically, there are 2 circles in life. Now, when you look at this caption, this graphic here, you will see a few errors inside. I'm testing my hands on AI. So I generated this particular one using ChatGPT. For those who have tried it, I think ChatGPT is a bit prone to error when it designs graphics. But I've been able to discover another one that is like 98% error free. So if you see any error in that particular circle, particularly the brighter one, just accept my apologies. It's just me playing around with AI. But the lesson I want us to understand, I want us to take home from this particular graphic, is that there are 2 circles in life. Stephen R. Covey called the first circle the circle of concern. And then the second circle, the circle of influence. In a nutshell, the circle of concern contains everything in life that you don't have direct control over. For example, you did not choose your parents. You did not choose your nationality. If not, I know quite a number of us here will not choose Nigeria. You know, you did not choose your race. You did not choose your tribe. You did not even choose your gender. There are quite a number of things that even your height, the truth of the matter is that you didn't choose your height. That is beyond our control. And it is always futile and a waste of time, a waste of resources, a waste of your energy, your mental faculty. When you concentrate on those things, when you focus your energy and your resources on things that are in your circle of concern, you are wasting resources, you are wasting your time, you're wasting your energy. So the essence of this is to shift your mind to your circle of influence. Always try in every area of life. aside interview that we are here for, try all the time to focus and channel your energy and resources on things that are within your control. There's a particular prayer I saw, and probably some of you would have seen it, which is basically saying, Lord, give me the grace to differentiate between what I can change and what I cannot change. Help me to ignore or to stop worrying about things I cannot change. Give me wisdom to be able to change the things I can change. And then give me rest of mind, something like that. And that's basically the summary of that prayer. And it is wisdom. It is effectiveness. It is knowing where to channel your resources at every point in time so that you can maximize your potential. Resources in life, we say they are scarce. So when you are using, time is scarce. No matter how rich you are, you don't have all the monies in the world. So you must learn how to channel whatever resources you have to things that are within your circle of influence. So let's bring it home to interview. Most of the time, you don't determine the location of the interview. You don't have control over the people that will be in the panel. You don't even have control about their biases, whether they like a Christian or they don't like, whether they like women or they like girls or they don't like girls, whether they like pretty girls, whether they like fair girls, whether they like handsome boys. You don't have control over a couple of things, the location, even the time of the interview. You must have gotten to a level in your profession where you will be able to say, in fact, they will be the ones to reach out to you to say, when can we have this interview? What time can we have this interview? Choose a preferable time or preferred time, and then we'll make our schedule to suit us because you have gotten to a level. But most times when it comes to entry level, just choose a location, choose a time, and they send the notice out. It's either you make yourself available or you don't. And of course, the people on the panel, you don't have control over. Even the qualifications of other candidates that will come for the interview, you don't have any control over. So it will be wrong for you to be sweating over these things. You are scared. I may not be the most qualified. I may not have the kind of degrees that other applicants will have. If those are the things you are worrying about when you're going for your interview, you are focusing on your circle of concern and you are not helping your chances. So what I'm trying to do here today is that every time you are going for an interview, focus on things that are within your control. You may not have a master's degree, as long as it is stated in the job interview that the basic requirement is BSc. Most times they will tell you master's is an added advantage. It is only on few occasions that will say master's degree is a must. So for instance, you are going for such an interview where they said master's, MBA or MSc is an added advantage and all you have is BSc. You don't need to be worrying about those who have masters. All you need to focus on is your own preparation. You are qualified, you have the basic requirements, that is all that is required. And oftentimes, I have chosen candidates who have just BSc ahead of candidates who have PhD. And it has nothing to do with the money. It is just because the BSc came most prepared and some other soft skills, attitudes that we saw, we felt, okay, the BSc is a better candidate. And we still paid the BSc the amount we would have paid the PhD because a particular amount was attached to that role. So what I'm trying to let you understand is that as long as you have the basic requirements for any position, any job role, you don't need to sweat over what other people have, what experience other people have. Package yourself in such a way that you sell yourself the right way. Show your strength. Sell yourself. The essence of the interview is not for you to sell another person, it's to sell yourself. Sell yourself the best way you can, and you never can tell. You might be the most preferred. All right. So my focus, my intention this morning is to help you always focus on what you have, seeing your glass as half full, not half empty, even when it comes to interview. most of these things you might be thinking is only applicable to other aspects of life. But there is a saying that how you do one thing is how you do everything. I also want to say how you see one thing could actually be how you see everything. If you're always the type that is always seeing your glass half empty in every other aspect of life, you are most likely going to be seeing your qualifications and your potentials even as half empty when you're preparing for an interview, because that has always been your approach to life. So how you see one thing, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I'm trying to also talk to your mindset. Whatever you don't have control over, stop brooding over it. Stop worrying over it. Focus on things you have control over. So when it comes to interview, what are those things that you have control over? And that will move us into how to ace interviews, how to make sure that you perform highly. I am not here to boast, but I can say that I have not attended too many interviews. Why? Because I stay anywhere I work, I usually stay for quite a while. I am not the type that moves. I know often it is something that is playing out in the labor market these days. The new generation, I don't want to mention any particular generation, but this new generation that we have, people are always eager to change. 1 year, 2 years, within the space of 5 years, you can see on somebody's CV, they've worked in 3, 4 places. It is the new reality in the labor market today. And entrepreneurs are looking, they are still trying to find how to handle this. So, but I can say that almost all interviews that I've been to, if I didn't get the job, I was one of the finalists. And most of the time, at least the ones I had last year, I had 3 interviews last year. The number 1 was because of my location that I wasn't chosen eventually. Number 2 was because of my age. The second one, it was discovered that I am older than the person I'll be reporting to. And this particular person, they were actually very honest with me, and they opened up. The fact that she's younger and she doesn't feel comfortable having an older person reporting to her. They were honest with me, even though I tried to make them see that it doesn't matter, this is work. But they were not comfortable, and I understand. And then the last one was because there's a particular skill, data analysis. The level of data analysis that is required to do that job, I don't have it. I only have the basic data analysis ability, and they were not ready to train me and probably sponsor me. And then they wanted somebody that could just hit the ground running, and I understand. So why did I say this little about myself? Is because the things I'm going to be teaching here are things that I have applied. And if I have attended 10 interviews since I started my career, I can say that I've been finalist at 8, and I've worked in 3 places. And out of the 8, at least I've been able to secure 3, because I work. I don't change jobs like that. So the things I'm going to be teaching here helped me, and you can bet that they are going to help you to ensure that your chances of getting a job, especially the job you desire, are way higher if you are able to apply what we'll be discussing here. And the first one in your circle of influence is your own preparation. You can't tell me that how prepared you are for an interview is not within your control. It is absolutely within your control. So instead of worrying about the qualifications or the location where the interview will be, after you've gotten to location, prepare. Right. What are the things you're supposed to prepare about? Number 1 is that you research the company. Find the company. Now, I know there are some job adverts where the name of the organization won't be mentioned. You will not know the name of the organization. There are job adverts like that you just see, our clients in the real estate sector, our clients in the telecommunications sector is looking to fill this so position. Interested candidates, blah, 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 and all that. These are the qualifications, these are the job descriptions, these are the KPIs, this is the salary range and all. And then that's it. But even at that, you have been given a hint on the sector of the economy where this particular organization is at. And the onus is on you to try as much as possible to know as much as you can about organizations. And in a case where the name of the organization is now mentioned, you should be able to seek them out on social media. Google is your friend, Facebook is your friend, Instagram is your friend. Find them out, know as much as possible as you can. I've been to an interview where what gave me the edge was because I could name the board of directors. At least they told me to name 5, and I was able to name 3. Fortunately for me, virtually every other person at the interview couldn't name more than 1. Some of them didn't even know anybody. So sometimes what will separate you from other candidates are this little information. What do you know about the vision of the organization, their mission, their core values, even their history? There was a time I interviewed for an Israeli firm. They are into shipping. And because of the position I was coming in at, the only thing they were asking me, they were not asking me about my education and all that. They were only asking me some very specific questions. And at some point, they asked me, what is our vision and what are our core values? But I've done my research. I would never go for an interview without knowing that much about the organization that I'm trying to join. And when I stated everything, they were impressed, you know. And the only reason I did not get that job, that I wasn't given that job, was simply because of we couldn't agree with the pay. It's in Apapa, and where I stay is I can't leave my current what I was doing at that time to go to that place, to be going there. I will be expected to be going Mondays to Fridays, and the amount they were offering, I couldn't take it, and that was the only reason that I did not join that firm. You must do your research very well. The vision, the mission, the core values, and the history of that organization, you must know that. Now, before I move to this second point, why is it important? I've been on a panel where the organization we were trying to recruit for were not present on social media. And they had very little information on Facebook, even on Google. Very, very little information. But we still asked the candidates. Why? We wanted to know those who researched and those who didn't do any research. And it was only about 2 or 3 candidates that were able to say, we could not find you social media. In fact, one was able to say, the only place we found you, these are the information there. And then you can imagine, personally, I was impressed because it showed that this particular person went extra mile to know about the organization, searched all the social media handles, and he was able to say it confidently. I searched on Google, I only found you on Google, you were not on Facebook, and what I found on Google was so, and we looked at ourselves. I looked at the MD, we looked at ourselves, we found what we were looking for. But if he hadn't done the research, he wouldn't have been bold to say that. Other people were just trying to impress themselves and bamboozle their way through that particular question. But we already knew that they didn't put much effort. So it is important. There are questions you will be asked that will show whether you have prepared adequately for the interview or not. And it will not have anything to do with the job that you are interviewing for. But it is part of the things that will qualify you, that will determine whether you are fit for the role or not. Now, another aspect that a lot of people miss out on when they are applying for jobs is this aspect of job description. when they will tell you, when you see a job ad, they list out the roles, the responsibilities that the person that will occupy that position will be carrying out. Most times, I have discovered that applicants don't take their time to go through those things. Those job descriptions, they don't. All they look at is the position and the salary, and probably whether it is hybrid or not. They just look for other things. But this job role and KPIs, people don't pay attention to it. So how can you come for an interview and you don't even know what is expected? You only have your own idea because you have had social media manager, and you have a vague understanding of what a social media manager is expected to do, and you come without understanding. But the information has already been given to you during the job ads. The JDs are there. You are supposed to go through the list of roles there, understand what it takes. And one other thing I want to say here is that oftentimes people expect to regurgitate these things verbatim. For those who, I have seen that too, people will just read the job description and just give it back during the interview, as if they have a teleprompter in front of them and they are just reading it word for word. No, that is not what is being looked. During any interview, it is your understanding of the role, your interpretation of the role that matters. The job descriptions are there to inform you of what you are expected to do. So when you are at the interview, give your own interpretation, speak from your own understanding of that particular role. You don't have to give it back to me the way I sent the ads out. That is not what I'm looking for. I am looking for someone who can interpret the role and give it back to me with understanding. Communicating with understanding of the job, it is important. So I am saying here that don't just look at the salary, don't look at the location, don't just be concerned about the experience, the qualifications. Also take your time to look at the job descriptions. What are the things that you are expected to do when you come in? Number two thing that you have control over is your presentation. What do I mean by your presentation? I will start with your appearance. I have seen people come for interview with plaited hair, and it is not a guy, and it is not a tech job, because I know the tech people, there is a lot of laxity when it comes to your appearance and how you come to work. But I can, let me just put it out here, because I know I have a lot of younger generations. I don't want to be mentioning a particular generation. I know we have different generations here. But your appearance is probably, apart from your CV, is the next important aspect of interview that sells you even before we hear you say anything. Your appearance. I did a virtual interview for a client last week. We were looking for a social media manager and copywriter. And one of them, the interview was virtual, and one of the candidates came to that interview wearing a singlet because it was at home. And he felt it is virtual. It's virtual. There is no, in fact, his camera was off. But we insisted that we want to see your face, at least for the first 5 minutes. And then because of signal strength, you can switch off your camera. And lo and behold, this young man had a neat singlet, white singlet, but nonetheless, it's still a singlet. And when we concluded the interview and we wanted to assess the panel, we were talking, one of the panelists said that the moment I saw that singlet, I just switched off. And this guy communicated well, showed a lot of expertise, very, very experienced, but we all agreed that we could not give him that job. Why? Because of appearance. You can never go wrong. You can never go to an interview with a proper shirt and trouser for the guy, maybe with a tie, and for the ladies, skirt and shirt, or even trouser and shirt. You know, all these semi-corporate, if I can put it that way. Even if you are not going to be wearing a jacket, you are not going to be wearing a three-piece suit or a jacket and a trouser, but your shirt and trouser with the tie for the guy, even if there is no tie, shirt and trouser. And then for the lady, the mid-corporate, semi-corporate dressing. You can never be said to be overdressed when you go for interview that way. Any kind of interview, even if it is the tech companies, and you still go with your shirt and trouser or your skirt and fine shirt, or you go in a corporate, mid-corporate or full corporate, you can never go wrong. I know we are trying to play down on these things in this new generation. You work anyhow, you can do, but please understand that your appearance says a lot about you. The kind of haircut you have, your hairstyle, the way you groom your beards, all those things, they say a lot about you. Please try as much as possible to dress corporately when you go for any interview, except it is stated there that you are coming for practicals. Maybe you are an engineer, wear your jeans and bring your tools. There are interviews like that, that it is about you demonstrating. But if it is just the normal interview where you come, you sit down, you talk, dress well. Don't underestimate the importance of your appearance when you're going for any interview. We are not saying you should wear designers, but dress well, all right, and be properly groomed. Pay attention to the fragrance, let me use that word, that comes from your mouth when you go for interviews, right? Most times when you go for interviews, we don't talk most of the time. And one thing happens when you don't talk for a long period of time. The tendency is that some bacterial actions would have taken place in the mouth. And by the time you open the mouth for the first few seconds, some very wonderful fragrances can be coming out. So find minty chewing gum or minty sweet if you don't want to chew gum. Because there's a way you chew gum that people won't even know you're chewing gum, but most people don't know. And they are making it. So I would recommend sweets like Mentos or something like that, just to make sure that your mouth gives a nice. Now, you might be saying, what are all these things? Are we here to talk about? No, I've been little things like this can make you lose a job, because you have different people on the panel and they have their biases, they have what they like, they have what they don't like. And in the end, no single person in the panel can make the decision. It has to be an agreement. And sometimes something as simple as that can be what will disqualify a candidate. So pay attention to your appearance. And then punctuality. I can't understand why you will be going for an interview and you arrive late. Now, this is me talking from my own personal biases now. I can't understand it, regardless of the location, because most times you would have been given prior information about the location of where the interview will be. Did you do any research about the location? Did you even find out the fastest route to that location? And people will come late for interview. That, for me, is a red flag. If you can come late for an interview, you will come late to work. That is my own personal bias. And so when I'm on a panel or I'm the one-on-one interview and I discover that somebody comes late, you've already diminished your chances. You have. Because one of the things we want to see in anybody, whether as a consultant and I'm employing for an organization or it is for my own organization, is the fact that I want somebody that is punctual. I don't joke with time. I don't joke with time. That is why I'm also recommending, I will remind you of that book again, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Go and get that book. There is nothing like African time. You must, this is within your control. You might be saying, okay, what about traffic? So if an interview has been scheduled for 10 a.m. and is at Lekki and you are staying on the mainland, maybe you are staying at Yanopaja, and the interview is 10 o'clock. So what time are you supposed to leave the house? Are you supposed to be leaving the house 6:30, 7 o'clock? Of course, if you do that, you are likely going to go late, get late to the place of interview. You leave the house 5. And I'm not telling you this just because it's easy to say. It is what I have done. I've never arrived for an interview late, no matter, even there was a time I had to go for an interview at Shagam. And I'm in Lagos. And those days, Lagos Ibadan Express Road. You leave factoring all the possibilities of traffic and all those, you factor all those things in. Now, if you have somebody you can stay with at Lekki, then it's better you go a day before. Go and stay with that person, and then after the interview, you start coming back home. It is a no-no for you to come for an interview late. Learn to manage your time. Learn to prioritize your activities. The day of the interview, the morning you're going for an interview, is not the day to bring out clothes and wash. All you need to do is wake up, dress up, and leave the house. That is not the time for you. It is not on that day you are going for an interview. You will now start looking for your CVs, start looking for your credentials and every other thing you're supposed to bring. You also have prepared that a day or 2 days before. In fact, the moment you get the notice for an interview, that is when you're supposed to start preparing. All the credentials they have asked you, start bringing them out from wherever you have kept them and start arranging them. Don't form the habit of going late for interview. All these things are within your circle of influence. You can control these things. And somebody will come and tell me, there was a lot of traffic. I'm coming from this particular location. And lo and behold, you are not the only person that came from that location. There were so many other people that came from that area and they came early. So what happened to you? Please let us learn to manage our time properly. These things matter, no matter how skillful you are, even if you came out with something better than first class and you come for the interview late, trust me, if I'm one of those people in that panel, your chances of getting employed is greatly reduced. Greatly reduced. You have to manage your time. And I know I'm not just speaking for myself, I'm speaking for quite a lot of business owners. Time is money in business, and you must learn to manage time. And it also tells me, if you come late for an interview, you don't respect my time. Let me get a bit personal here. Even with my wife, I always tell her, if we have a plan to go out and you make me go late, it shows that you don't value my time. You don't value my time. And if you don't value my time, it tells me that you probably don't value me as well. We had all these issues during the early period of our marriage. I don't like going late to anywhere, whether it is informal or formal function. It speaks volume about you. Volume about you. If you don't know how to, even if you are going on a date and the guy has been toasting you for 25 years, if you have agreed on a date, arrive early. Arrive early. It tells a lot about you. All right. So, and the same thing is applicable for virtual interviews. You don't say because it is virtual, you come late. Like we see a lot of people joining past 10, past 10, you know. It speaks volume. It speaks volume about how you manage yourself, how you manage your time. I know sometimes technology can come and rear its ugly head.
I'm sorry to cut in. Please, sir, your voice is very, very low. I'm finding it hard to hear you.
Okay. All right. So let me see whether I can do something about it. How about now? Hello, is it better now? Can we hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Yes,
but I don't know if it's from her or
It's better
can
now.
anybody
hear you
else?
clearly. We hear you clearly, yes.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you so much.
So Ruth, I think it's from you. So maybe try to go off and join back.
So can I continue?
Yes, you can.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we are still talking about acing our interviews. We talked about preparation, talked about presentation, we talked about punctuality. That's where we are. Always be punctual. Then mindset. Now, let me talk about this for a while. If you don't believe in yourself, you are not going to do much in life generally. I like being personal when I'm training. And so let me share a little bit about, I grew up with inferiority complex. I won't go into details, but I know where it came from. And it affected me all through secondary school, affected my performance, affected everything I did in secondary school. But when I got to the university, I stumbled on a book. Sorry, I'm a trainer, so if I can use this training even to help anybody at any point in time, I would love to do that. So I stumbled on a book. You know, my 100 level, I was given, the way we used to say it, I was given biology education. I wanted to study either biochemistry or microbiology. I gained admission to the university through pre-degree. I met the cutoff for at least microbiology, but one way or the other, I was given biology education. So I was ashamed, coupled with the fact that I was already struggling with suffering from inferiority complex. You can imagine how bad that seemed to me. It was as if the whole world collapsed on my head. I'll be moving with my friends, and you know, uncles in the area will say, "Oh, you guys have gained admission. Which course?" My friend will say, "Polymer, chemical and polymer engineering." Another one, microbiology. The other person, physics or something. And then they'll say, "Tokwe, what about you?" I will say biology education. Each time I open my mouth to say biology education, I felt like disappearing. I just felt the ground should just open up and swallow me. So I went to my parents and said, "I'm not going. I have to do another JAMB." And they were like, "After we wasted so much money, do you know the amount we paid for pre-degree? You have to go. It's either you do it or you go and look for a trade or a craft to learn." That I still have younger ones. I'm the firstborn. So there are still other people behind me that they have to cater to. So I should go. And after all, it is not what you study in university that matters. It is what you are able to do. That's the belief, general belief then. I won't advise anybody to still hold on to that saying today. And so my 100 level, I wasn't going to class. And I ended up having 4 carryovers. Even in a 4-unit course, I had a carryover. And so at that point, when I was checking my results, a friend of mine who was given chemistry education too didn't perform very well. But he made a statement that startled me. It was like, am I going to do education and still graduate with pass? That was the way he said it in Yoruba, but I don't want to say it in Yoruba because probably not all of us can understand Yoruba. And when he said that, it was as if a veil was removed from my eyes. And I was like, this is very true. I've been saying I wanted biochemistry. So now that I'm studying biology education, will I still go out with a pass? And they will say, Shoton, you are a very dull guy. So I began to talk to myself, and then I stumbled on a book written by Ben Carson, Gifted Hands. And that book changed the trajectory of my life, if I can put it that way. It's one of the books that changed my life. I finished with a 2-2 eventually. If there's anything called a strong 2-2, I was very close to 2-1. You know, but that book just changed the trajectory of my life. And one of the things that book installed in me was self-belief. And I began, and that was where my eyes opened to see that the moment you believe in yourself, you are not likely to fail in life. The truth of the matter is that it is impossible to fail if you believe in yourself. In whatever thing you are doing or you want to embark on, first thing you must get right is that belief in your ability. People may not believe in you, but if you believe in yourself, you are unstoppable. And this is applicable to interviews. Believe in yourself and your abilities and your experience. Let that thing be settled on the inside of you. Work on your mindset. You are good enough. The only time your self-belief will not help you when it comes to interview is if you are not qualified. You don't have the prerequisites, qualifications, academic qualification. Probably you don't have the prerequisite experience, even though in some cases, when they are looking for 5 years experience, somebody of 2 years experience can do the job, right? Yes, I've seen it several. Okay, but if you are not qualified at all, you don't have the academic background, you don't have any idea, any knowledge about it, then no matter the amount of self-belief you have, it is not going to help you because you don't have what it takes. But when you have the basic requirements, you have the degree, you have the experience, you have the technical know-how. You might not be the best, but you have the technical know-how. Please back it up with self-belief. Back it up with self-belief. It is what people use. Some people will call it confidence, but I always prefer to use self-belief. You believe in your ability. You believe in your potential. You believe in what you can do. You believe in your own uniqueness. Settle that on the inside of you. Forget about whether another candidate, maybe you've heard 1 or 2 candidates and they are speaking very polished English, very polished One, and you don't have all those tongue twisting pronunciation and all that. Please don't let that unsettle you. Bring your originality to the interview. Believe in who you are. Be yourself. Don't try to sound like any other person. And just come and deliver what you've got. You have prepared. You have done your research. You are on time. Just deliver what you've got when it is your turn. Don't worry about what other people have said, how articulate they've been. Just be you. Believe you've got what it takes and come to the interview with that belief. Okay? Be calm and composed. Don't allow anybody to unsettle you. And let me say this. There are people who are on interview panels who believe that they need to intimidate the candidates. I've had to pause an interview session, and as an HR professional, I had to dialogue with people on the panel and let them understand that the interview is not about them. It's about the people we are interviewing. You don't need to start intimidating these young people. Just, we are here to find their suitability for the role. Don't intimidate them. If you intimidate people, how do you get the best out of them? In some cases, they listened. In some other cases, they didn't listen. Why am I sharing this with you? Some people's approach when it comes to interview is to harass and intimidate. If you have a healthy dose of self-belief, they will not be able to throw you out of balance. Believe in your potential. Understand this, and I always tell people, you are not the only one that needs them. They need you too. Any job interview you go for, the reason they placed out an advert is because they need you. So stop going for an interview as if your whole world depends on it. Yes, it might, but their own world also depends on you. Balance it up. You need them, you need the job, you need the money. They need you, they need your qualification, they need your expertise, they need your abilities, they need what you've got to offer. So it is a win-win situation. So be calm, be confident. And if you are putting all these, if you are practicing all these 3 P's that I said before this M, it will increase your level of self-confidence. If you are well prepared for any exam, you notice that you go to that exam with a certain level of confidence, a certain degree of confidence. But if you are not well prepared, you know you go with a lot of fear because you are not sure. If the question that comes out is not the area that you are prepared for, you know you are in trouble. So your level of preparedness also helps your confidence. But I'm trying to state this so that you understand. Please understand that balance. It is not only you that needs the job needs you. If they don't need you, there will be no need for the job advert. There will be no need for the interview. They are looking for you. So there has to be a balance. All this I'm saying is to help your mindset so that when you are at the interview, you are not unnecessarily shaking, unnecessarily jittery, okay? Because we are also looking out for it. And then when it comes to communication, how you are able to express yourself. Like I said, you don't have to sound like a British. You don't have to sound like an American, except that is the way you talk. Don't come to the interview and start using an accent that you are not used to. You know what that tells us? You're fake. You are not original. I don't want to employ a fake person. I don't want to work with a fake person. How has that got to do? What does that have to do with my qualification? I'm very good. I graduated with A1. I be first class. I am this, I am that. Yes, you are. But it tells me that as a person, you are not authentic. I don't want to work with someone who is not authentic. What other things am I going to find out? I may be wrong, but that is the impression you created. Use your natural voice. Speak the way you always speak. Only make sure that you are put together. Sit upright. Don't sit and then you rest your back and all those things. Nobody will tell you, but we are noting them. Okay, we are noting them. And let me also say this. It's just etiquette. It's corporate etiquette. When you enter any office, if they have not offered you a seat, please don't sit down. Let the seat be offered to you. Don't just enter the interview room and say, good morning, sir, good morning, man, and then you sit down. And they are noting. They are noting it down. They won't say anything, but they are already noting it down. So remain standing until they tell you to sit. And then when it comes to communication, in as much as you want to express, you want to use the lingua franca of your profession, you want to use some terminologies to show that you know about your profession, about your career, you are a professional. Please use simple words. Communicate yourself as clearly as possible. Okay? Communicate yourself. Avoid big grammars. Just express yourself, except that has always been the way you communicate. You are the type that you are a walking dictionary. It is just in you. But even at that, when you go for interviews, please, when you speak too much vocabularies, people may not understand you. Just like when I read Wole Soyinka's book and a lot of grammars, after some time, I will just put it down. Because I will have to be looking at the dictionary almost every time to understand the sentence. When you are using about 4 or 5 vocabularies within a sentence. So please, communication is always about understanding. It's not about how knowledgeable. Let me let you understand something about communication. No matter how eloquent you are, no matter how knowledgeable you are, no matter how big you are able to use vocabularies, if at the end of what you're saying, the people you're talking to do not understand what you said, or they don't get the crux of what you are trying to pass across, you have failed. Yes, you're knowledgeable. Yes, you are experienced. Yes, you're gifted. But the people you were talking to at the end, when you were assessing what they understood, you realized that they did not understand most of the things you said. Then you did not communicate. You were just impressing people. You were not communicating. So communication is about the people you're talking to understanding what you're saying, regardless of whether you use vocabularies or not. And that is my own approach. I avoid using too many big words when I'm talking, because the essence of my talk is for people to understand. I am not there to impress. I am there to make you understand, to sell myself in such a way that you know that I understand. I know what I'm talking about. So when you are at any interview, yes, you want to impress, you want to sell, but how do you impress? Is by communicating clearly. Not by your accent, not by your vocabularies, it's by communicating clearly, except you are interviewing for maybe media space, you want to be a newscaster, a presenter, and they need you to have those accents and those, fine. But if it has nothing to do with all these things, please focus on understanding, focus on passing across your ideas in a very clear way so that people will understand. Because in the end, people gravitate towards those they understand, not those who try to impress them. So when it comes to interview, communicate clearly, use simple words, and always keep eye contact. particularly with the person that is asking you questions. Don't let
I think of
anybody.
it.
Yes.
Sorry about the interruption. I just wanted to let you know I sent you a message. If you could check that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Apologies. I'll have to. Okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah. All right. So let me continue. Okay. So now I will talk briefly on attitude. And there is a reason I'm talking on this attitude. Because many of us think when you go for an interview, you just have to concentrate solely on what you're there to do, and every other person there does not matter. Right from the gate man, I have conducted interviews that I gave appraisal form to the security guy. So when you are writing your attendance at the gate, when you leave and you go inside, the security guys are appraising you. You greet them. You treat them well. They will write your name on the form and they will tick it yes or no. Did you treat them with respect? Did you treat them respectfully? Even the cleaners. And all of these things I will collate at the end of the interview to know the most suitable. Many of us miss out on these things. You don't greet, you don't treat people well. Even your co-candidates, when you are sitting down, you are not even saying good morning, you are not saying good afternoon because you are well dressed, you are well groomed. Just feel every other person should bow to you. Well, attitude says a lot about you. How you treat the people around you at any point in time says a lot about you. And we are watching. So no matter how experienced, no matter how skillful you are, if your attitude is wrong, you will not get it done. So learn to greet people. Learn to treat people right. We are not saying you should come for an interview and turn it into a marketplace where you are chatting. But good morning, you're welcome. How are you doing? Little courtesy like that, they go a long way in telling us about who you are. And let me chip this in before I leave this particular aspect. When it gets to a certain position, when your career is about to get to the senior level, when you get from the mid-level to the topmost level in your career, it is not your skills that matters. In fact, when they want to promote people to leadership position, the least important thing, or the least important thing is your expertise. The most important thing that they look for is how you are able to treat people, your attitude to people, your relationship with people. When they want to promote people to the leadership positions, they look for people who are good at relating with others. That is why you see some people, they are very skillful, they are very good at their job, but they will not rise above a particular level. They will not rise above a particular level. It is because your career can only get you to a certain level when it comes to not your career, your skills, your competence, your technical know-how can only take you to certain heights. But when it comes to the topmost, to the very big positions where leadership is what is expected, it is your attitude, the soft skills that they are looking for. How good are you with people? If you don't have it, you will not be promoted to that senior level. So it is important for everyone on this call to start paying attention to their attitude alongside your technical proficiency. It is when you have the two and you have a good balance of the two that you can rise as high as possible. Okay? And also have your CVs and credentials. I've talked about that. Have them properly arranged. It's not when they're asking you to bring them out. You are now searching your bag. You are fiddling with your bag to find where they are. It communicates something. They are simply telling us you are not an organized person. So what are the things that employers look for when they are trying to choose you as the candidate? Number one is relevant skills and experience. So before you apply for any job, find out if you have the relevant skills and you have the relevant experience. If you do, then apply. Then cultural fit and adaptability. When we talk about cultural fit, It's about the values of the organization. And many of you don't even take time to research the values. So when they ask you questions that is addressing this cultural fit, you don't know how to answer. You are answering with your own values. You are answering with your own principles. No. You're supposed to be answering with the values of the organization. That is when you are telling them, I know your values, I know what matters to you, and I will be a fit. Your problem-solving skills is another thing that employers want to know. And of course, like I said, your communication skills and your confidence level. Okay? Now, let's move to the next slide. Okay. So we are going to be looking at real life questions and how you are expected to answer them. Number one, when they ask you, tell me about yourself, many of us will just read everything that is in our, what do you call it, your CV. Just start talking about everything you've written in your CV, but I have your CV in front of you. I have your CV in front of me, rather. So you don't need to start telling me what I already know. In fact, most times, you don't even have to tell me your name, even though here I am starting with mentioning your name. But most times, I already know your name. So you don't even have to tell me your name. Okay? Just go into your professional background. Tell me a little bit about your journey in your profession, okay? And then your current role, if you are working somewhere and you are looking to transition to my own organization, tell me about your role, what you do at the moment, how many years of experience you have, and then your area of expertise. Like for HR, I always tell people my core area is learning and development, particularly when I'm interviewing for a position where learning and development is the major skill they are looking for. I highlight that, letting them see, okay, that I am a fit for the position you're looking for. You summarize your professional journey, share about 2 to 3 key accomplishments or roles relevant to the job. So when you are interviewing for a social media manager, for instance, you don't need to talk about your sales experience if you have been into sales before. Just talk about the places where you worked as that social media manager, what you did, how you were able to do it, what you were able to achieve, how you were able to affect the bottom line of that organization. And then you explain how your current skills and experience will make you a better fit for the role you are interviewing for. Okay, how your experience, your journey so far will make you a better fit for this position you are enrolling for. And then you show enthusiasm, okay? You let them know that you are excited, you are interested in working with that organization. And let me say this, you might think this is not important. I've been opportunity to interview people where after they left the interview, everybody on the panel agreed that they don't really need the job. They only came to just find out if they will get a better offer. They are not really actively seeking for a job. If you know you are happy where you are, please don't go for an interview. If you know you are content with where you are working, everything is fine, you don't need to go for an, you know why? Because it will show your level of enthusiasm, your level of interest, the way you communicate. We will know if you really want the job or not, because that is what we are trained to do. So if you know you don't really want this job, or it is not really important, where you are happy, you are satisfied, don't bother. Don't bother, because it will be communicated. Your body language, the way you approach the interview will tell us that this person is probably happy where he is just trying to sample the market to see whether I will get something better. And we are not going to offer you that job. Now, example of a standard way of answering the question, tell me about yourself, is this particular. I said, I am Alex Taylor, a software developer with over 7 years of experience, specializing in creating scalable applications and improving user experience. Now, see how this person summarized his journey, his journey so far and what he does. And then he said, in my most recent role at Tech Solutions, I led a team that developed an e-commerce platform, increasing customer retention by 25%. Telling them his achievements, where he works presently. And then he transitioned into, I am particularly drawn to this role at your company. You know the name of the company because it aligns with my passion for innovative technology. Now, what this guy is doing here is he already did research on the values of the organization he is interviewing for. Innovative technology. That means that organization is they are into technology, probably green energy solutions, and one of their core values is innovation. And see the way he brought in that value into the way he was communicating with them. I am passionate about the fact that the organization is innovative. They value innovation when it comes to technology, and then my ability to deliver solutions to drive that business. He made mention of a core value in the organization he is seeking to join. This is how to sell yourself at an interview. This is how to tell people about yourself. If you need to mention your name, fine. It is not a must because they already know your name. Okay? But tell them the role you occupy. And the role you occupy, any role you are mentioning, must be related to the role you are interviewing for. If they are not related, don't mention that. You need to find a way to ensure that the role you are mentioning is related to the role you are interviewing for. Even if they are not exactly the same, they might not be called the same, but the functions are the same. And you must link it. You must let them see the link between what you are doing now and what you are expected to do at that organization. Okay, let's look at another important question. Interview questions. Number 2, why do you want this job? Why do you want this job? This is a very common question during interview. So how should you answer the question? You show that you've researched the company. Demonstrate that you understand the company's mission, values, and culture. You now see why it is important you do your research well. Why do you want this job? You communicate their vision because so you don't need to repeat their vision verbatim, right? But you mention it in such a way that it shows that you understand where they are headed and you are willing to journey with them. Express enthusiasm for the company and its work. Highlight your fit for the role. Connect it to your skills, your experience, your background to the job requirement, and then show how your strengths make you a strong candidate. Show how you can contribute. Yes, I'm going to read this example now so that we understand how you are going to apply it. You will simply say, I have always admired. So why do you want this job? Why should we choose you? Why should we consider you? I've always admired your company for its innovative approach and commitment to sustainability, right? Because the organization already talks about in their core values, innovation and sustainability is part. They are both part of their core values, and probably they are even included in their vision and mission statement. And in saying that, I am particularly excited about your current projects in renewable energy. You are talking about what the organization is doing presently. And this can only be known if you do your research. Okay, now you relate it to what you do. Say this role aligns with my background in environmental engineering. This role aligns with my background in environment where I have spent the last 4 years working on projects that promote sustainable practices. So you are linking what the organization is about to what you are doing, to what you know how to do, to the current plethora of skills that you have available to deliver your job in a way that they will be pleased with. So when you answer these questions this way, you are simply telling the organization that you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You understand what is required of you. Apologies. Just to ensure that you see me well. Okay. Thank you. And then you now go ahead and talk about your enthusiasm and what you can bring to the table. I am eager to bring my expertise in that in that particular role, you look at one skill that is most important, that will help you do the job properly, that will make you deliver your job as expected. You mention it. I am eager to bring my expertise in environmental engineering or in providing environmental friendly solutions. It's one of the things I've done where I am presently. Environmental friendly solutions. I'm eager to bring my expertise in environmental or renewable energy, for instance. I'm eager to bring my expertise in renewable energy to contribute to your team's efforts. And I see this as a great opportunity for both my professional growth and to make a meaningful impact on the company's sustainability initiative. So what you are saying by communicating this way is that it is a win-win relationship. And I'm going to bring in my expertise to improve on what you're doing at the moment. And of course, it helps me to grow better as a professional. It helps advance my career and my skill level as a professional. So when you answer this question this way, what you are trying to do, you are communicating the fact that I know your organization very well. I am excited. I am interested about joining you people. I have value to contribute. It is not just about your money. I have value to contribute. And of course, I am going to be impacted positively by joining your organization, which you are simply trying to tell them it is a place, your organization is a place of growth. Your organization is a place, you are honoring the organization, and everybody on that panel will pay attention to you because it shows that you have done your research very well. You are communicating your value, and you have a good level of regard for the organization you are trying to join. Okay. Now, another one is the difficult questions like, tell me about the challenges you have faced. One major challenge you faced in your current role. Okay, there are some questions here already, but I'll answer the questions when my time of presenting, when it's time for me to answer questions. Okay, so as I was saying, sometimes you are asked, tell us about a difficult situation at your place of work and how you were able to handle it, how you were able to resolve that difficult situation. Some will say, have you faced any challenge at your place of work where you work presently? And you say yes. And I'll say, okay, tell us what the challenge is about and tell us how you were able to resolve it. In situational questions like this, you just use the STAR strategy. That is STAR strategy, the STAR strategy. So what you do is, number one, you mention the situation, describe the difficulty, what happened, briefly explain the background or context of that difficult situation. Okay, ensure you provide enough details so that they will understand. It will not be, so that it will not seem as if you are just fabricating a story. Even though sometimes you might need to think on your feet. If you need to fabricate a story, you fabricate that story, relating it to something that has happened. It might not be in your current role. It might be a previous role, maybe many years in a different organization. You need to look for a way to bring it and tell it. Tell that story, explain the situation, explain the challenge, and then what is the task? What were you to do about that situation? What is the assignment given to you? Something went wrong. What did they say you should do in order to correct that situation? You need to mention it, the task. That is the stick. So it is the situation S, the task, and then the action, what you did, the steps you took to address the situation. That is the action. And then the last letter R talks about results. What did you achieve? What were the outcomes? So when they were talking about, when they ask you about a challenge you faced in your job, tell them about the situation first. Then the T stands for the task. What you were said to do, what you were tasked to do, what you were given to do to be able to resolve the situation. That is the T. and then actions, your action steps, what you did eventually, what you did, the steps you took to solve the situation, and then you talked about the result. There's an example here. It says, in my previous job as a project manager, our team was given a tight deadline to deliver a software update to a major client. Now, halfway through the project, we discovered a significant technical issue that could delay the delivery by several days. So here we have the task and we have the situation, right? We have the situation, we have the task, and then it says, as the project manager, it was my responsibility to ensure that the project stayed on track, that the team worked efficiently, and that we met the client's expectation despite the setback. Now, what were the actions taken? I immediately called a meeting with the team to identify the root cause of the issue. That's another action statement. Number 2 action statement, we brainstormed potential solutions. And then I worked with technical team to prioritize fixing the bug rather. I also kept the client informed. These are action steps. I kept the client informed about the issue and provided them with realistic timelines for resolution. Another action. I ensured the team remained motivated and focused on the deliverable. So we've talked about the situation. A problem arose. There was a bug in the software program they were writing or something like that, you know. And then what was the task? That's the problem. And what was the task? It was given the mandate to ensure that they did not miss the deadline. Regardless of the problem they were facing, the deadline must not be missed. That's the task. Now, what were the action steps? He brainstormed. He called a meeting. He brainstormed with the people. They found out, he set up a team to find out where the bug is, and they were able to discover the bug. He was also motivating the team, catching up, you know, ensuring that nobody drops the ball. He was following up with every member of the team. These are action steps. He is stating how he was ensuring that everything kept on moving. And then what were the results? As a result, we were able to resolve the issue within 24 hours, and the project was completed on time. So he used this particular response, used the situation, the STAR approach. It used the STAR approach, which is the situation, the task you were given, the actions you took to make sure you accomplish the task, and then the results. The client appreciated our transparency and communication, which strengthened our relationship with them. Additionally, the team was praised for their collaborative effort, and we successfully delivered the update without compromising quality. This is a framework on how to answer situational questions during interview. The situation, you mention the situation, mention your own task, the task you were given, mention how the steps you took to make sure that the task was accomplished, and then mention the result. You don't even have to go, you don't even have to use these many words. Once you have that framework on your mind, the S stands for situation, the T for the task, A for the action, R for the result. Just explain yourself using that framework. You would have done justice to the question. And once you do that, you are communicating to the people on the panel that this person is structured, this person is a professional, this person is well put together. And of course, he or she knows what he's saying. Now, let me sound a note of warning when it comes to this particular question. What is your greatest weakness? Don't fall for the trap. Even if you have a weakness that is related to the job, please don't mention a weakness that will disqualify you totally. It is a very delicate question when people ask you during interview, what is your greatest weakness? Choose a real weakness, or don't choose a deal breaker weakness. Don't tell people, I am not very good with money. I'm not very good with money. I don't know how to handle money. And so when we have projects and budget is released, I'm still trying to learn how to manage, and you are enrolling for a position where you'll be overseeing projects, and you say you don't know how to handle money. No matter how, you might say you are being honest, but you have shot yourself in the foot. Nobody is going to, because you are to be overseeing projects, And so money will be released to you. And you're saying your weakness is handling money. They will not give you the job. So when you are talking about weakness, in as much as I always recommend that we should be honest, please don't mention a deal breaker weakness that will nullify your chances. Don't do that. Pick a weakness that is genuine, but that is not directly critical to the job. Okay? You have to be smart when you are answering this question. Now, how do you address it? Show how you are addressing that weakness. Explain the steps that you have taken to improve in this area. Then highlight your commitment to personal and professional development. Connect it to your strengths. Let me show you what I mean. There's an example here that we can look at. You use this sample. So one area I'm working on is delegating tasks. As someone who takes pride in delivering high quality work, I have sometimes struggled to trust others with critical assignments. However, I have realized the importance of teamwork and building trust in my colleagues. I have been actively practicing delegation by assigning tasks to team members and providing guidance without micromanaging. This approach has not only improved team efficiency, but also allowed me to focus on higher level responsibilities. So when you are talking about a weakness, look for a weakness that I can say is general to everybody. Most leaders still don't know how to delegate. It's just a few leaders that still know how to delegate. So you look for a weakness that everybody knows that yes, this is normal. Everybody, we all have it. We all have it in different measures, in different doses. Okay, we are all still working on that particular weakness, but it is a real weakness. Now, when you talk about the weakness, don't just stop at admitting that that is your weakness. Let them see how you have been able to work on yourself. Like this particular person did now. I struggle with delegating, but now I am making efforts to delegate responsibilities to my team. And I am trying, even if it is time. For example, you can say, I used to have issues with managing time. Don't ever talk about lateness. Don't ever. Please don't ever talk about I'm a habitual latecomer. If you do that, you might not get the job. But when you talk about time management, sometimes I struggle with managing time because I am a perfectionist. I love to do my job well. I tend to spend a lot of time on a particular task. And so what I've learned to do now is to ensure that when I'm going for a task, I set time frame, I prioritize, and my time management, I give myself 30 minutes or 25 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour on a particular task, and I set an alarm. The moment my alarm sounds, wherever I am on that task, I leave it there and I go to other important tasks. That way, you are talking about a weakness. You are also telling them how proactive you have become about dealing with that weakness by telling them you set time alarm, you apportion time, and then you have an alarm to keep you in check when you are likely to overshoot or to overstay on a particular task. When you answer this particular question this way, you show them that you are a responsible person. You are self-aware, and you are not only self-aware, but you are proactive. You are taking responsibility. You are seeking ways to be better. That way, because everybody on the panel knows that there is no perfect individual. We all have weaknesses. We all have weaknesses, all right? So, but when you show your weakness and then you tell them how you are managing the practical ways with which you are managing the weakness, you have aced that particular question. You have aced it, and you are communicating, you are selling yourself well. Don't ever say you don't have a weakness. I have heard people come to interviews and they say, I don't have any weakness. It shows that you are not sincere, you are not honest. And apart from being not sincere, it also tells us that you are not self-aware. You don't really know yourself. If you know yourself, you will know that you have weaknesses, not even a weakness. You have weaknesses, even professionally. So what we want to know is, are you the type of, because from that particular question, we can even know whether you are the type that when you are assessed, when it's time for appraisal and you are appraised critically, you can take it. Are you the type of person that can even take criticism. If you see yourself as somebody that doesn't have a weakness, you are not likely going to take criticism lightly. You will not like to be criticized because you see yourself as perfect. So when there is room for improvement, they are simply telling us you don't have any room for improvement. And I will not take anybody like that to be a part of my team, because I need people who don't think that they know it all. I need people who are open to learn, open to growth. So you have to be careful the way you answer these questions. That is why I took my time to bring examples. You cannot say you don't have a weakness. Just look for a weakness that is not a deal breaker. Talk about it. Talk about what you are doing about that weakness. And move on, right? Just move on. Because we all know that we all have weaknesses. And I want to know whether the person I'm bringing to join my business is somebody that is open to growth, or is someone that when you correct them, you are in trouble. All right, so what is the summary now? In summary of everything we have said so far, is that for you to succeed in any interview, you have to be well prepared. Don't go for any interview without being prepared. Okay, preparation and practice, which I talked about, circle of influence. All the things that are within your circle of influence, do them well. Prepare, research, dress well, arrange all the things you need to arrange, leave early, groom yourself. As in all those things that great people have the right attitude. Some of us are so arrogant, especially when you wear the bottom box for an interview. You know you are looking so good, so wonderful. You find it difficult to greet anybody. You just come to the interview. You meet people. You just sit down. You don't greet the gate man. You don't greet the receptionist. You don't greet anybody. You just go and sit down. When you enter where the common room where everybody is seated, you just go and sit down. You are not even saying good morning, hello, how are you? Nothing like that. Somebody like me is on that panel. I am watching you. It tells me a lot about you. You might be a very brilliant lady or a very brilliant guy. Or if you are rude to people, you don't respect people, no courtesy and all, you are not likely to get my votes. I'm not likely to give you the job. I'm not likely to recommend you, because when you come in, you're going to be a liability. You will be rude. You will not be a team player, and you just cause trouble everywhere. I don't want to cause trouble in my team. I don't want to come to the office and always resolving conflicts. Okay, many of us don't understand that as simple as knowing how to greet can save your organization a lot of trouble. Because when you come in, you are the rude person, you don't greet people, you don't smile, you don't know how to treat people well, people will not be happy working with you. And that is going to affect the productivity of the organization. No matter how skillful you will not get employed. I will not recommend such a person. So anytime you go for interview, greet people, greet the gatesmen, greet the security men, greet the cleaners, greet the receptionist, greet your fellow applicants. Good morning, good afternoon. You don't have to talk for too long, but be polite, show courtesy. We are watching, right? The big brother is watching. Now, confidence and effective communication make a lasting impression. Remember, I told you, it is not about accent, it is not about grammar, it is not about vocabulary, it's about communicating clearly, telling yourself clearly, being clear. Use little words, simple words that everybody will understand. That is communication. All right? And be original. Don't try to form accents that you don't know. Don't try to sound like any other person. Just be you. Be put together. I'm not saying you should be all over the place. Be put together, but be original. And believe in yourself. And of course, when you are well prepared, it helps your confidence. But no, anytime you are going for any interview, know that you are the best candidate. As long as you have all the requirements, all the things they require, you are qualified. Go with that confidence. I am the best. I know what I am doing. If they are going to choose one person, they will choose me. Don't be encouraging negative thoughts, self-defeating thoughts. Or you come into the place and you see some people wearing better dress than you, or maybe they speak better English than you. And all of a sudden you say, look at how sparkling this boy is looking. This guy has gotten the job. I am not, what I'm wearing is not as good as what he's wearing. My guy, my sister. Package yourself well. Love what you have. If that is all you've got, wear it with pride. And go to that interview to sell yourself. Okay, in the end, it is not just only dressing. Yeah, I wish you can see maybe I don't know if you have seen it. I didn't bring it here. There's a script we use when we are interviewing. Dressing is there, communication is there, attitude is there. What else? What else? Leadership skills is there. There are a lot of things, okay, that we are going to sum together to determine the best fit. It is not just dressing. It is not just, in fact, I don't see where they will say accent. We don't use accents when we are interviewing. It's just communication. How well you are able to communicate. Okay. And let me tell you something. Many of us in Nigeria, we are not proud. I've had the opportunity as an HR professional to go for trainings where I can speak like a British, where I can twist my tongue for all those. But I said no. And what gave me that confidence was because I listened to a lot of TED Talks. I don't know if anybody knows TED Talks here. And I've seen people from Eastern Europe. I have seen Chinese people, professionals, give talks and they get standing ovation. And when they are talking, you will hear their accents there. And yet they got standing ovation. Everything they said, we understood. So I asked myself, why am I ashamed? I want people to know when I'm speaking that I'm a Yoruba man. I am proud to be Yoruba. I'm proud to be a Nigerian. Okonjo-Iweala doesn't sound like any other person in the world. She speaks the way she speaks. It has not hindered her from getting to the height she has gotten to. She knows what she's doing and she knows how to communicate. So you don't have to be sounding like any other person in the world. Just make sure you speak good English and you can be clearly understood. Once you have that, please, anybody that wants to sound like Obama can sound like Obama. I would rather sound like myself and still communicate effectively. So I decided I wasn't going for the course. And they said why, and I gave them my reason. I don't want to sound like any other person. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of where I'm coming from. All I need to do is to make sure that I communicate clearly and effectively. And I'm doing that till today. And that is the same thing I'm teaching my children. I'm not saying they should not learn how to sound British. If that is what they want, fine. But I'm only starting to tell them, love who you are, love where you are coming from. Be confident about who you are, be confident of yourself, and develop competence. Speak. Okay? Just speak clearly. Don't need to twist your tongue. Speak clearly, speak confidently, and you'll get what you desire. So with this few, showcase your unique value. Showcase your unique value. That's where originality comes from. Many of you that you want to sound like other people, we are watching you. Let me just let you understand that. We are watching. I have not seen an Israeli who is trying to sound like an American or a Nigerian. It is always us. We want to sound like every other person, and we lose our own identity. Go on TED Talks and listen to people, Eastern Europe, China, India. They give quality talks, and they are not sounding like Americans. They are not sounding like British. You will know once they open their mouth, you know this person is from Romania. This one is from Yugoslavia. This one is an Indian. This one is a Chinese. And yet they get standing ovation. So it's about communication. It's about communicating clearly. It's about having something to deliver, and you ensure you deliver it clearly. Simple. Okay. So with these few words of mine, I hope I've been able to encourage. So this is where I take questions now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you taking your time out for us. Thank you. Okay, so now it's time for questions. So if you have any questions, you can raise your hand and you would answer. But I think we should start from the questions in the comment section. Ifoma asked, is it advisable to contact the company after an interview to know the outcome, believing that you've done so well? Also, we've sent the feedback form to the chat box, so you can actually be filling that out as he answers the question. So I'll give you the floor now to answer Ifoma's question.
Oh, definitely, you can. You definitely can. I also didn't know this option until much later in my career. I think it's a Mexican thing. But in other clients, people actually, it is okay, but don't let it be immediately. give it a period of like a week before you reach out to them. Like a week. I don't know. Adiza, is it okay if I talk about my book now?
Yeah, you can actually, yes.
Okay, so I have a book on interview that I wrote. Quite a few. Can we see it? It is titled "Get Hired." Simple guides to landing your dream job. There is even a template on how you can reply. You can send a mail after you're done with the interview, like a week later. There's a template that you can use to get back to those who interviewed you, particularly if you know that you did very well during the interview. So yes, it is okay. And it is generally accepted. It's a standard practice all over the world. I don't know why we don't do that in Nigeria. Okay, it is acceptable. You can, but don't let it be immediately so that you don't appear as desperate. Don't let it be immediately, but yes, you can. Yes, you can. So the title of the book is Get Hired. You can find it on Seller. Goes for $2.5. It's a downloadable book. It's an ebook. Simple guides to landing your dream job. So if you're interested, you can go on Seller, get the book, and there are a lot of other examples that you can follow. It's quite a number of things that I'm not able to share during this training that you will get in the book. So get it, and it's going to help. It's going to help everyone who is seeking to, because I have over a decade experience, over 10 years of experience when it comes to interviewing. I've been at various interview panels. So what I have in the book are practical. They are from my experience. It's not about what I read. It's about what I do, and I'm still doing. I still hire for organizations. I still get to recruit for clients and all. So it's what I do. So you get practical examples on how to prepare for interview, how to answer questions. You will see samples that you can use. You don't have to use it 100%, but you can. It will be like a framework to help you develop your own response or responses to these questions. Okay, so yes, you can get back to those who interviewed you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Maureen, you can come off mute and ask your question.
Hello, sir. Thank you very much for your class. I really enjoyed it. Please, my question is based on what I've experienced recently, and I got a link for a job application from a recruit group, and I filled everything and submitted the cover letter and all of that. So when you were talking about researching the company before you go for the interview, I want to ask, what if in situations like this, when you are applying through all these other recruit companies and you don't have access to the particular company that they are trying to recruit from? How do you go about trying to know what you want to do concerning knowing about the company and all of that? I was applying for an EA job, so
Okay.
I don't know. I tried going online to look for what kind of company they will be recruiting for, but I didn't get. I just saw that they were Oaks Recruitment. That was the group that I applied through. So I don't know how to go about it. Thank you very much.
All right. So I made mention of this at the beginning of this particular workshop. I guess you came in after I said so. So there are two options you have. First is when they do adverts like that, oftentimes they will give an idea of the sector in which the organization is. For instance, they will say our client in the telecommunications sector. Okay, so if they do not disclose the name of the organization, what you need to do is research based on your role in telecommunications sector. What will somebody in your role be doing in telecommunications? And then have a general understanding about what is obtainable in telecommunications. Now, another thing you can do if you know that you really want to do personal research on the organization itself is for you to reach out to the organization recruiting and ask for the name of the organization. The worst that will happen is that they will tell you they can't disclose, right? But you cannot be sanctioned. And this way you are able to do your research and get additional information. So those are the two options. Is either you just limit your research to the sector, or secondly, you reach out to that recruiting firm asking for the name of the organization. Sometimes they will give it, sometimes they won't give it. And if they are not going to be giving the name, then they cannot be asking you about the mission and the vision of the organization because they did not give you the name. So you only need to do a general research about the sector, know what is happening in the sector, know the new development in the sector, and then understand your role as it relates to that particular sector. That is it. But if you reach out and they give you the name of the organization, then you can make other research. Do you understand?
Okay, Sam, thank you very much. Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. We also have questions in the chat box. Somebody says, how can we negotiate salary expectation? And another person said, is it okay to ask for the company's salary range?
Okay, yes. This aspect, before I wrote my book, the standard answer has always been, I'm okay with what the organization wants. But based on my experience, that is not the best answer. That is not the best answer. What you're supposed to do is, most times, sorry, I am using a laptop and it's about to go off. So I'm switching to my phone. So I'm going to shut down the laptop now so that there won't be any feedback or echo. Can you hear me? Can we hear me, please? Hello?
Yes,
Yes,
can
we
hear
can.
you,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
All right, thank you. So my laptop just went off, so I switched to my phone. All right, so in a situation like this, sorry, there is no light and everything has gone off. I was using my laptop to power the social. Please just bear with me. Thank God we are done with the. So in a situation where they are asking you about the salary range, here is my candid opinion. Most times when they do job ads, at least when I do job ads, I always try to put the salary range there. But I know that a lot of job ads don't have the salary range. So you should have your own salary expectation. Don't be saying you are okay with what the organization. Tell them what you want to earn. Nobody is going to arrest you for it. And nobody is going to. The only thing they will say eventually is that if you're asking for too much, then they can tell you their own range. But always have, it's part of the research you should be doing. The other people in other companies in that particular sector, how much are they paying? What is this? What is the idea of the salary they are paying? Your role, your position, the position you are applying for. Have that idea, so that when you go for interview, for instance, you want to come in as EA, for example, and the organization is in the real estate sector, and we know that EAs in real estate sector, maybe they are paid between 200 and 250. Hypothetically, they are paid between 200 and 250. So when you go for an interview, you will not be saying 400 because you already have an idea of the range. So you can come up to say 270, or you can come up to say 250 or 240. That will now make them decide if they need to disclose, because when you say yours, then they can disclose and say, okay, no, we are not going to be paying as much as that. We want to pay 200. And that will save you a lot of energy. You don't want to be waiting for a job when eventually when they disclose the salary, you now realize it's not something you can take and you have wasted so much time and energy. So have an idea of how much you want to earn, do your research, and then speak based on that research, on the information you have. There is nothing wrong with having a clear understanding of how much you want to earn. It is either they are willing to, they can pay it, or they will tell you how much they are able to pay. And then you now decide if you are able to take it or not. I told you of an instance where I didn't pick up an offer because of how much they were willing to pay me. I was clear about how much I was going to earn because I considered the location. Apapa, I also did my research to know how much they pay averagely. But I also considered my own distance. I'll be going Mondays to Fridays to the place. I'll be going to every day. cost of transportation and all that. So I needed to be clear on what is ideal for me. Because in the end, I don't want to do the job. After 3 months, I'm going back to meet them that they need to review my salary. It doesn't speak well. It doesn't speak well about me. It doesn't tell that, it doesn't speak well. Professionally, it doesn't speak well. So yes, you can tell them how much you want to earn. And that question of, I'm okay with, I know that you have how much you want to pay, and so I'm okay with it. It's also a sign of desperation. It shows that you are desperate. You just want the job anyhow. No, have a clear understanding of how much you want to earn. It's not, there's nothing wrong with it.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate your answers. Guys, please, can you fill out the feedback form on the chat box? And also, we sent a thank you link where you can tell Temitope thank you. Just fill the link, tell him like, thank you for the session. He took out his time to be here for us. So just thank you would be highly appreciated. David, you can come off mute and ask your question. David. Okay, Ruth, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Temitope, for this training. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. I can hear you.
All right. Good morning, or sorry, good afternoon. Good afternoon already. Okay. So, I wanted to ask. Yeah, sometimes when you are searching for job roles, and probably after searching through a lot, you see that there's a particular range that they are putting, although it's not really what you want, and like you are better than that, you can get more than that. So is it okay to still apply for it, and when you go for the interview, give them your own range?
Yes. In that situation, you already have an idea of how much they are willing to pay you. So you applying for the job is an indication that you are okay with the amount stated. So now when you apply for the job and then you say something above what they stated, it is not a crime really. And they will now then ask you, didn't you see the amount we placed? Then you can then explain why you are asking for more. Basically because, oh yes, I saw it, but I feel because of what I am bringing to the role and the experience and any other reason you have, it could be your location. It could also be because cost of transportation. That is why I am asking. And of course, what you are going to be asking to be extra will not be a ridiculous amount. For instance, if the range is between 200 and 250, you can't be asking for 400, right? But if you're asking for 270, you're asking for 270, it is still reasonable. And if you have legitimate reasons to back it up, for example, my location, where I will be coming from, the cost of transportation would demand that the money be upped a little. And because you are confident of what you are bringing to the table, yes, you can do that. And when you performed well and they see the value you have to offer, trust me, they can shift ground. They can come to 260. They can come to 255 because they want you. Remember what I said. You are not the only one looking for a job. They are also looking for you. They need you, particularly if you have what they need. They can shift ground. You understand now? But at least you have an idea of how much they are earning, and whatever you will be asking for will not be ridiculous when it comes to the deal. Okay. So once you're able to do that and you can back it up with legitimate reasons, of course, because they need you, they will shift ground. They will.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is David. I raised my hand earlier on. So I wanted to ask an experience something I experienced, and then want to know how should I have handled it better. So I applied for a job and I was called for an interview. And I went for the first interview. It was the virtual interview, and after the first interview, I was sent an email for a second interview, and the second interview was with the because it was through a recruitment firm, and then second interview was with the owner of the company. And during the interview, we spoke about starting the job. They asked about my notice period, and I told them I was working at that time, and I was going to and then my notice period was 2 weeks, but they told me that the role was urgent, and I was like, okay, I was willing to start the role like a week earlier, and they said they will get back to me. And after then, I didn't hear anything from them anymore. Because I was meant to resume the next week, and I didn't hear anything from them. The HR didn't reach out to me. I sent an email back to them, and I didn't get any response. That's how the whole conversation died about the job. And I was wondering, how can a professional HR recruitment company actually go through a recruitment process, and after reaching out to a candidate and then talking about, because the owner of the company, or the person who was
Hello, are you still there?
Can anybody still hear him? Because I can't.
I can't hear him either.
I think we
I can't hear again.
I think we lost him. The network took him out.
who they were hiring for was the virtual interview.
David, we couldn't hear you for a while. We couldn't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
yes, we can now.
Okay, sorry, please. Okay, so I don't know where I stopped, but I was.
The last time we heard you was, I heard you was when you said you don't understand how a professional recruiting agency.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so I was wondering how can a professional recruiting agency go through a recruiting process and then actually have discussed the candidate and then don't get back to the candidate after concluding the interview and then discussing with the candidate about resumption and when to start the work.
Oh, okay. So let me apologize on behalf of my colleagues. Some of us still do these things. It's not nice. A lot of things we still do in Nigeria that we probably won't find anywhere else. So I apologize for that. Now, like I said during the presentation, interview can be very, very tricky. And you have to also be smart. You have to be the type that thinks on your feet. You are working for an organization, you signed a contract, and they told you the notice period is supposed to be 2 weeks, and you agreed to it. And then you went to interview for another organization, and they are pressuring you to resume immediately, and then you agree. You have sent a message that you are not likely the type that will honor your terms, you'll honor your agreements. What you ought to have done is to insist that you signed a contract. And it is because they will also be looking at it from their own angle. What if you join them and then another organization tries to recruit you? You are just going to jump ship immediately. You will not honor the terms of maybe a month notice period and all. So that could be a reason why they did not get back to you, because they felt you are not the type that will honor your contract. Now, having said that, there is nothing wrong with wanting to be, if you like the job, if you want to move, if you see it as the next level, but you have to be clear about how you communicate it to them. You let them know that my willingness to join you immediately means that I'm going to be forfeiting, because in most terms of contract, it will be there that if you will not honor the notice period, then you will forfeit your salary for that month. And then you might even forfeit any entitlement you have. Maybe you are supposed to be given a particular amount or something. You will forfeit all that if you know you will not honor your terms of agreement. So you let them know that I am not being irresponsible here. If I decide to come and join you because I love where I am coming, I have been looking forward to this, and it's the next level for me, I am still making sacrifices. I will not be paid my salary for this month. There are entitlements that I will lose. If you communicate that way, you are showing them that you are not irresponsible. It is that you value this offer better than where you are, and you are willing to sacrifice this month to come. That stands you in a better stead than you just saying, okay, I will come. Agreeing to come without stating why, and then without letting them know even what you are sacrificing. makes you appear as if you are not the type that will honor contracts. And these days that most people don't stay for long in any organization, they work for a year and they just run away. Nobody wants to continue to keep recruiting. And I think that is why they didn't get back to you, even though it's still wrong. Most especially after you have contacted them, they are supposed to get back to you. So I apologize on their behalf. But that could be why you didn't get the job. Because you signed a contract somewhere, you agreed to give 2 weeks notice period or a month notice period. And then because of just little pressure, you caved in.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so the communication that went was not me giving it. It was more of like.
Ruth, please, can you mute your mic?
Yes, go ahead. I'm hearing.
Okay, so it was more of like the role I was being interviewed for at that moment was a 9th role, and what I was doing previously was a daytime role. You understand? And then when they asked me for the 2 weeks notice, I told them, okay, I would have to go and check and see if it is possible for me to go with the 2 weeks. I mean, resume before earlier than 2 weeks, given that I had like a notice period I was meant to meet and everything like that. And she was like, okay, no problem, that I should get back to her. You understand? So, or no, rather, she said no problem, she would get back to me on like the possible resumption date that they had in mind and everything. And after that discussion, it ended. So, well, I understand what you said, sir. So I'll have that in mind next time when I'm having another interview. Thank you very much, sir.
All
You're
right,
welcome.
thank you. Guys, please fill the thank you note. Only 4 people have filled it, and the feedback too. Please fill it. Please fill it. Adela, you can come off mute and ask your question.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. Please, I want to ask, at the end of the class, you made mention of group interview and panel interview, but you didn't really go into details. So I want you to really expatiate about the two of the interview. The secondly, so I want to ask that what are those things that someone can take into consideration when going for a group interview or a panel interview?
Okay, so group and panel interview can be said to be opposites. Panel interview means one person is being interviewed, but there are many people interviewing the one person, if I can put it that way. I'm just trying to be as simple as possible. So panel interview has to do with, you have many people on the interview side. There are many people making up the panel. You can have about 3, you can have about 4, but they are all interviewing just one person. That's a panel interview. While the group interview is more or less like you have about 5 candidates being interviewed at the same time, right? So one of the things when it comes to group interview, if you are part of a group interview, learn to be the type that doesn't interrupt. When another person is talking, allow them to finish, right? If you are the type that is interrupting people all the time, somebody is speaking and then you are interrupting them, it says a lot about you. It says a lot about you. So one of the things you must take into consideration is that you allow other people to talk. And then one of the benefits of allowing other people to, I don't like group interviews. You know why? Except they are working together as a team. Whether maybe we put together a group of a couple of people, like 4 or 5 people, and want them to work together as a team. And so we are interviewing that team as one. I understand that. But some organizations, when they want to recruit, you want to recruit for salespeople, you want to fill in a position for receptionist, and you are interviewing 4 people at the same time for the same position. You might think you are giving all of them a level playing field, but you're not. If I'm the type that is I'm in that situation, I will listen more than I talk, and I'll be observing. When one person is answering the question, I will see whether, from your reaction, whether that person answered correctly or not. And it will give me the chance to do what? To refine my own answers. So in the end, it is not going to be a level playing field. So if you are opportune to be in a group interview, except you are called upon to talk, don't talk yet. Wait for other people to talk. Learn from their responses. look at the body language and the behaviors of people on the panel, people who are interviewing them. You will know whether they are saying the truth, whether they are answering correctly or they are not answering correctly. So that when it is time for you to answer, when it is your turn to answer, you have learned from other people. And so you have a better chance of answering the questions correctly. So the difference between panel interview and group interview is that panel interview means that you have more than one person interviewing you. You can have about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on what the role is about, depending on the level, and then depending on the style the organization chooses for the interview. While group interview is more or less interviewing more than one person for the same role. You are all for the same role, or they are interviewing you at the same time. Okay, so that's basically the difference between the two.
All right, thank you so much. David, you still have a question, or was that like from previous time? I think it was previously. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? All right. In the absence of questions, I think we've come to the end of today's session. Thank you so much, Temitope. I really appreciate you taking out time for us. Thank you so much. Can everybody like just say thank you in the comments or in the chat box? Just say thank you. And we really appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Please, everybody, don't forget to fill the thank you cards so he can read through them and see that we appreciate him. Just endeavor to fill the cards and also the feedback form. But thank you so much. We really appreciate. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's fine. Also about his book, you guys, don't forget to search for the book and buy the book. And thank you. Joseph, I think it's your network or something, because anybody else having difficulties with opening the links? Can everybody open the links? Like, are the links opening for everybody? Because Joseph said it's not opening. So I just want to be sure if it's from our end or it's from Joseph's end.
Just can you repeat your question?
I said, can everybody open the links that were sent? Like, is it opening for everybody else? Because Joseph said it's not opening for him. So I want to be sure it's not from us. Maybe it's from Joseph.
Even mine is just rolling.
Yeah,
and rolling.
both of mine.
Ruth, you could open both of yours.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay, thank you. Maybe you should use Chrome because I think Chrome is faster and better. All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Please don't leave until you fill these forms. Please, please, I'm begging you, please. Thank you so much.
So am I allowed to take my leave or I should still wait?
Yes, sir, you can. You can. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
I hope I've been able to give value. So have a lovely day. Enjoy the rest of your day.
And you too, sir. Yes, please. Let's try to fill the thank you notes. You understand? That's the only way we can appreciate him.
None of the links are opening, please.
Okay, so just copy them and paste them maybe on your notes and then try again later because it's working. People are already using the links already. So it's probably from your network.
Please, how can we get the recordings?
You'll get the recording before Monday. Before Monday, so today or tomorrow. So posted on all the web platforms.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, the recording will be shared across the Wave platform. So for those that want to leave the call, if you've not filled the link, the attendance feedback and the thank you notes, you can just copy and paste somewhere, maybe on your WhatsApp chat, so that you can access it later. Thank you so much.
But please don't just paste it and forget. Please actually try to fill it. That's the only way we can appreciate the facilitators. Please.
Cynthia, Diamond, and Neko Adeola as well. Have you been able to fill the form, please? If you have, you can exit the call, please. Hi, Adisa, you can end the meeting now. Thank you.
All right, no problem.